give it to a nigga like it was given to me, you know what I mean? Difference between then and now, we actually listened back then. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's not wrong, no sense. Food for thought, you know what I mean? Yeah, other side of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what they scared of. We want to reach deep down, bring out the emotion, you know what I mean? What's going on here, yeah. Words of wisdom from a cerebellum. My words of push, break them down, roll up, smoking, inhale them. Like I'm a felon, you ain't leading, so what can you tell them? We ain't buying the shit you spit, so what can you sell them? Same shit, different toilet, don't forget the spray. On the stones, did you scale it on a razor blade? That's how I'm down, feeling like I sold a book today. I'm a man, I'm a word if you heard it, that's what I meant to say. I fight my phone for nothing, no discussing, I'm busting. Ain't got no time for tussling, homie, I'm too busy hustling. It's gangsta in my blood, pimpin' in my DNA. Sleep for them niggas grinding, trying to make a G a day. Real niggas relate, why the fake continue to hate? The yin and yang of the game, that help but balance the weight. Watch how that change a nigga who creases his weight. Watch it, cause that change you nigga, might change up your fate.
Hold up, heavy stacks beat for these hearts beat for this house too. This is deja vu. Then I realize I work hard for my money, homie. This is what I do. Oh, it's prime time, it's prime time.
First and foremost, I want to greet y'all with peace. Please educate all children every day. Peace, proper education always creates elevation. What we're dealing with, man, is a situation into which I don't think people really understand the premise of surviving and living life. And this is where it comes into play of being from the ghetto, of being poor, to where we are teaching our children how to survive, yet we're not teaching our children how to live their lives. And case in point is this: when you're in the mode of survival, you have to do whatever you can do to be able to put yourself in a position to be able to survive. We have situations in which, you know, a lot of guys are forced into selling drugs because there's no other way out of their situation. Now, this is a choice I want people to understand this is a choice. You don't have, you have an opportunity to do whatever you want to do in life, but sometimes your choices are limited because of your environment. And I want people to understand that, you know, it's what we call abstract conceptualization. It's when you can analyze something, intellectualize something, and then create a theory. And the theory here is understanding what it is to be able to survive. So when you look at a lot of guys, as far as guys who are in the streets, you really don't understand that man's background. So you point the finger at that man, not understanding where he come from. A lot of guys that's in my age range, we come from the dirt. You know, there's not a lot of opportunities out there for us. So therefore, we are forced into certain situations, and we put ourselves in a mode of survival. And this is where the violence in the black community comes from, because we're constantly at each other's throat because we're vying for the same positions. So I want people to understand it's not always the person's fault who goes through it. You got to understand the circumstance and understand his environment. I think that's one of the most important things in the world. It's the concept of teaching your child not to fail versus teaching your child how to pass. And those are the two different diagrams of paradigm shifts that we're dealing with. Now, I want to tie that in with everything else that is going on as far as what's happening with the police out here and what's going on with how unarmed black men are being killed. I want everyone to understand this. This is a problem that not only affects the black community, affects the country on a whole. What the police are doing nowadays and what their job is, they are income generators because of the failed economy. It is their job to force upon us policies in order for us to have to pay a certain debt to society. Every time somebody goes to prison, the federal government gives, in the state of Ohio, I think the federal government gives to give the state, I think $55, $56, maybe $60,000 per inmate number that goes. And now they're privatizing prisons. And this is why we have so many of us locked up, because it's a business now. And the police don't understand that they're a part of this plot. So while they're constantly trying to mend their relationship with the community, this will never work because it's not their job to actually be a part of the community. It is their job to police the community, and now it's their job to generate funds for the state. So all they are pawns in a vicious cycle and a vicious game. So now what we have to do as a community, and guys like me in the position that I'm in, what we have to do is we have to go to the root of the problem. We can never change the mind state of a person that has been thought to think a certain way for 400 years. So we've been in a position that we're in for 400 years plus. The problem with the way that we think as black people is not only do we think a certain way at 400 years, they think a certain way also. So we will never be able to change that mind state. That's through evolution. Eventually the minds will be able to come together and be able to form a proper way to handle this situation. But what we have to focus on in the black community, number one, is we have to go to the root of the problem. And there's a lot of crime, a lot of violence, a lot of things like that in the black community that needs to be addressed. And once we begin to address that issue, this limits the opportunity for the police to patrol the neighborhoods, which limits the opportunity for them to do some type of harm to us. We have to look at ourselves and take responsibility for the actions that we actually put out there. The energy that we put out there is the things that we're going to get back. You know what I'm saying? This is a law of attraction. For every action, there's a positive or negative enforcement or reaction. So these are the things that I am really honing my skills into as far as being a vocal person. Now, I really want to give you some insight on who I am and where I come from. I've been in the streets my whole life, bro. You know, I've been out here. Let's see, we first started getting money. I think I might have been 14 years old. I'm 35 now, so I've been doing it for 20-something years. You know, I gave it up a year ago after what happened with me with the police. I gave it up then because I knew it was a calling for me to do something different with my life. But I've been out there my entire life. And one thing that I learned about being in the streets, a lot of guys who get to that certain level, see, a lot of you guys claim that you real street dudes, claim that you hustle, but really you ain't touching no paper yet. I was really one of them dudes that was touching a lot of money. And you become accustomed not to the money, you become addicted to the lifestyle itself because the money comes and goes. 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down. But you become accustomed and addicted to the lifestyle itself. And with the lifestyle brings a lot of stress and a lot of harm your way. And this is the thing that really got to me as far as being in the streets. Being in the streets, man, it's a worrisome game. From the moment you wake up to the time you go to sleep, if you go to sleep, your entire day is filled with worry. You worried about somebody kicking your door in. You worried about somebody not paying your money when you need to be paid. You worried about your plug picking up the phone when you need to get your action back together. You worried about somebody's trying to set you up. It's just so much worry throughout your whole day to where this is where drug addiction comes in for a lot of guys who get money because we have to drink. And what Pimp C said, compulsive thinking and compulsive drinking and thinking is, you know what I'm saying, is a part of the game. So therefore, you have to eliminate your risk because the reward is actually not that great. Now, I'm not telling nobody that what they should be doing or what they should do. And I'm not telling anybody that they shouldn't get in the game or shouldn't be in the game because I did it. All I can tell you is they got a bed for you. And Jody Sportco, he love everybody girl. They got a bed for you, bro. So don't go through your mind thinking that you untouchable and that you can go through your whole life and not go sit down in one of them funky spots. They got a bed for you, man. They ain't never running out of no room. Trust and believe that. They building more prisons. They're building 10 times as many prisons in the United States than schools. Matter of fact, they're tearing schools down and building prisons. They gonna have a bed for you if they ain't got one for you yet. So I want you people to understand that. These are a part in the rules of the game that people really are not preaching to you. When you listen to the hip hop and the music that's coming out right now, there's no yin and no yang. They're glorifying the dope game, but not giving you the yang of it. They're giving you the yin, but not the yang of the game. And that's what's wrong with hip hop in itself. Now I know I'm going from spot to spot, but hip hop is not addressing the social issues that are plaguing the community in itself. They glorifying the hood. They glorifying selling dope. They glorifying pimping and things like this, but there's no cultural basis for it. So when I was growing up, we had both sides of the game. So one moment I might felt like Tupac. One moment I might felt like Biggie Smalls. One moment I might feel like Jay-Z. One moment I might feel like Nas. One moment I might feel like Pimp C. One moment I might feel like Scarface. So we had balance in the game. We had balance, and there is no balance in the game anymore. And they feminizing hip-hop. A lot of you dudes are real feminine in the game right now. And we all know who I'm talking about, and it's glorified. These, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit here and talk about the dress code because, you know, back in the day in the 80s, you know, dudes was wearing tight pants. They ain't as tight as they is now. But you know, dudes was wearing tight pants and things of that nature. But everything is coming into full circle. So everything that we was doing when I grew up in the culture is coming back into fruition. So, you know, kids is wearing high top fades and they putting dye in their hair, and you know, the big thing is dreads and things of that nature. And I think a lot of guys don't, a lot of the OGs really don't want to allow these young dudes to do their thing. But this is just not our era of hip hop. This is just a new era of hip-hop. But at the same time, there has to be some things that need to be addressed in the culture itself. We do not have a yin and a yang, or we do have one, it's just people aren't giving the yin its proper dues. So I mean, we got guys like J. Cole, we got guys like Kendrick Lamar, but we also got guys like, you know, Jay Electronica, Lupe Fiasco, that are actually speaking to the cultural issues in the community. But yet, those guys aren't given a platform, except for a couple of them that these other guys are given. And that's because the industry no longer, the talent no longer dictates or dictates the industry dictates the talent. And what I mean by that is you go into these rooms, and a lot of these young guys go into these rooms, and their careers are guided by 75-year-old Jewish white guys who have no idea what the culture is, but will force upon the people what's supposed to be hot. Back in the day, the energy in the hip-hop industry was dictated by those who actually had talent. So now there's a paradigm shift, and now the music, which has the strongest hold on the youth, is not being promoted to them in the right manner. You know what I'm saying? And that's an issue in itself. So now we got to take back our culture, and I'm gonna give you a case in point. I remember when, well, this was a few years ago, when Irv Gotti, Suge Knight, and who was the other one? And Jay Prince. They were going to come together and create their own distribution company. And I wonder if, you know, I'm one of those guys that really reads deep into everything, but once they came up with that idea and was starting to push and promote that idea, all of them caught Fed cases. All at the same time. And there's a reason behind it. They don't want us to come together to get our own economics, our own economical standpoint, to be able to promote and produce our own music, promote and produce our own culture. And they taking that away from us because they're scared if we wake up. And I'm not speaking on a color issue in itself, because I got white partners they discriminate against too. They treat them just as, not just as bad, but they treat them as bad as pretty much anybody else. But I want people to understand this is our culture, so we got to take it back and we got to do something positive with it. Now let's go. I want to go into one more point before I close this off, man. We're dealing with a different generation. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Generation X. You know what I'm saying? And what we're walking into is Generation Y. Generation Y are the youth of today. And a lot of the old heads and a lot of old school cats, man, you know, they're disrespectful to the new generation. You know, what they say is the new generation, oh man, you know, they don't listen, and, you know, they're disrespectful and things of that nature. Me, on the other hand, I view the new generation as fearless. I view the new generation as a generation of warriors. The problem is you old cats are sitting on the sideline critiquing these young brothers instead of walking with them and holding their hand and giving them the game and showing them exactly what they need to be doing, because you too busy trying to exploit them. You too busy trying to hit their little chicks. You too busy trying to do whatever you feel that you need to do to be able to put yourself in a position amongst them instead of giving them the game. And that's why we have the separation between the youth and the elders, because the youth are not feeling what y'all talking about. They ain't feeling what y'all trying to show them, and that's what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to OG cats like me to put ourselves in a position to be truly transparent and show these young cats exactly what it is that they need to be doing. So come on, you come deal with me. I'm gonna give you the game in a nutshell. I'm gonna show you how to be successful. And I tell all my young cats, has this. You either going to be Nino Brown or you're going to be Barack Obama after dealing with me, but you're going to be the best at something. I promise you that. Every single time I speak to you, it's going to be from the heart. It's going to be authentic, and everybody going to be able to grasp and gravitate to everything that I have to say because it's the truth, because I've lived it. I've been through it. I ain't read this in no book. I took these lumps on my head because I didn't come from nothing, and I had to learn on my own. So therefore, I sacrificed myself for you to be able to live your life the way that you need to be able to live your life. So I'm going to leave you again in peace. Please educate all children every day. And one more time, proper education always creates elevation. Peace. I speak with a voice equivalent to the angel sounding the fifth trumpet, slaying a third of the wicked, predicted triumphant. I'm more apocalyptic than the visions of John, militant like the rules of Islam in its purest of forms, but songs recited like the Psalms of David. Tracks are defecated upon, remain sacred to the ears and hearts of listeners. Convicted prisoners of ghetto pavement, I devote my dedication due to my character's defamation because of Satan's placement of improbable, impossible obstacles. I should prove them wrong, but what I should do and what I can do are two totally different things. Trapped in a world where a man's worth is measured by money, cars, bitches, and bling. Try to escape the scapegoats and stereotypes, vices that might lead to an early burial site. Born a victim of my melanin, project house of developments, developing a rebel with a devil inside of me. Yeah.